and make sure safe passage.
Also, it should be noted that France's President Macron stated earlier that he expects the war to last a few more weeks. You know, Iran has a say in when this is going to end, and when you've heard from the Iranian foreign ministers and the Iranian National Security Council advisors and leaders, they say they don't plan on stopping their actions in the region anytime soon in response to Donald Trump and Israel attacking Iran. I mean, we're learning this morning, for example, according to CBS News, and two U.S. officials with knowledge on the matter, the U.S. lost two additional MQ-9 Reaper drones during operations against Iran, bringing the total losses of MQ-9s during the conflict with Iran to 11. And these are massively expensive drones, the MQ-9s, and we've lost 11 of them so far. We're learning that the Israeli officials are growing concerned about the war with Iran and suggested possible exit ramps. This is per the Washington Post. Details include exit ramps are being discussed amid concerns over the region and the global economy. Talk of an end game is early, and the decision, Israel says, is with Trump. Trump has wavered among several conceptions of the outcome. I'm not sure it is in our interest to fight until the regime is toppled, said an Israeli official. We posted this on the Midas Touch account, this photo of Donald Trump with what he said to CBS. I think the Iran war is pretty much complete. He's in front of the mission accomplished banner right there. And one of the things that Trump has also said, and I mentioned it before, is that he's now considering taking over the Strait of Hormuz himself, whatever that's supposed to mean. The Department of Defense, which calls itself the Department of War, posted the following: "We have only just begun to fight after Donald Trump said our mission is largely complete." Alex Ward reports the following: "Trump has told aides he would back the killing of the new Iranian supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, if he proves unwilling to cede to U.S. demands, such as ending Iran's nuclear development," current and former U.S. officials say. The White House declined to comment, but Trump on Monday told the New York Post he was not happy Khomeini was selected to lead Iran. He called Khomeini unacceptable. "I'm not going through this to end up with another Khomeini," Trump told Time magazine last week. Israel would likely execute an operation aimed at taking out Khomeini, who was named as the supreme leader on Sunday, a current and former U.S. official said, noting that Israel is taking the lead on targeting Iranian leaders right there. So you've got that. Then Donald Trump moments ago gave a speech at the Republican retreat at his resort in Doral. Yes, the Republicans, of course, all go there while we're in this war, while Congress refuses to work or do its Article 1 duties. They're hanging out with Donald Trump and using their money to pay for hotels at Trump's resort at the Doral in Miami. And then Donald Trump said the following on Iran. He called the war an excursion. This is just a short-term excursion. You can see how weak his language is here.
It's better, stronger, and our country is doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing. How good?
I'll be right back. Okay, sorry I went so long. I didn't. That was yeah, took a while, but it's all right. I'm gonna shoot a video right quick though. I'm gonna shoot a little dancing video real quick, right here on the road. Do it. Y'all ain't gonna be able to hear the music because there's a residential spot right next to us. Okay. So you had to watch it. Just couldn't hear it. I'll show it to you in a little bit. Show it to you in a little bit. So you can hear it with the music. Let's see.
Short term. Thank you. They're great.
Then Donald Trump lies and that, and so, you know, if we didn't do this in Iran in a week, they would have deployed nuclear weapons all over the Middle East. Play this clip.
Had we not done the B-2 raid, and if we not done this one where we said, nope, it's time to go in, we have to go in, have no choice. Number one, if we didn't go in, they would have come in after us, because I see the Democrats trying to justify it, and they're failing because the voter on the street is saying, you gotta be kidding. But I see where they're going, where they're always saying, no, there was no reason. Well, I'll give you the best reason of all. Within a week, they were going to attack us 100%. They were ready. They had all these missiles, far more than anyone thought, and they were going to attack us. But they were going to attack all of the Middle East and Israel, and if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel. And this was going to be a major attack. And they had all of those missile sites and all those launches that we got rid of, about 80% of them right now, by the way. Got rid of.
He starts making noises. Play the clip.
It's the easiest thing we have. I can't. It's the easiest thing we have.
He then says that Chuck Schumer is a registered Palestinian. And then Donald Trump says that the Iranian people are quite nasty, referring to Iranians in general. As a general matter, he refers to the people of Iran as quite nasty. Yeah, I don't think you are helping your cause, Donald, of building any kind of coalitions in Iran when you say they're quite nasty. Here, play this clip.
And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially. He is registered as a Palestinian. He's taken the biggest turn of any human being I've ever seen. He's gone from totally pro-Israel to totally pro-Palestinian. He wants to protect the Iranian people that are quite nasty.
Donald Trump then says we have to crush healthcare in this speech. Let's play it.
Inherited that one of the first targets must be the crushing healthcare. We have to crush and take over the healthcare situation, which we can do. For the first time, we can do it.
And then even though we know who's leading Iran right now, the new Ayatollah Mojtaba, Donald Trump says nobody knows who's running it right now, which is false. We know who's running it right now. And we've heard from the foreign minister. We've heard from their national security advisors. We've heard from all their top people pretty much. But here's what he says.
Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it. We had leaders and they're gone. Then we had new leaders and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated.
And we have MAGA Mike Johnson said,
We're here just last year. We were talking about being on the edge, on the verge of the dawn. Golden era in America, and my friends, that is exactly what we are in the middle of now, the new golden era, new golden age.
More from MAGA Mike. He says that Donald Trump never sleeps. I'll share this with you right here.
He is the most active president, the most energized president, the most successful president, I believe, in my lifetime, and he's proven it over and over and over, and part of it is because he doesn't sleep, thankfully. He's got so much to do. And I know that because I get calls from him at 2 a.m. and 7 a.m., sometimes in the same day. He doesn't require a lot of sleep, thankfully. He is the man for the moment.
And just so you can hear from what the Iranians are saying, here's the foreign policy advisor to the Office of Supreme Leader, Kamal Karazi. Here's what Kamal Karazi says about, is there any desire to reach any negotiated resolution with the United States? What happens next? I mean, just listen for yourself what he says. Here, play this clip.
Iran has a new supreme leader. What does that mean for your military effort and the confrontation with the United States and in Israel?
That means the system is quite functioning.
So the United States says it's drastically degraded the Iranian military, the capabilities as far as missiles is concerned, drones is concerned. How much longer can you do this?
That is one of the false narratives that the United States government is producing. Iranian military is quite strong, as you see, because they have the motivation, they have the arms that they need, which are produced in Iran. As a matter of fact, we are not dependent on any other country for weapons and arms.
So your side is ready for a long war with the United States and Israel. Choose that. Do you consider this an existential threat to the Islamic Republic?
It is an existential threat to the Islamic Republic, and therefore we have to stay with full might, as we are doing now.
Is your side seeking, or will you seek, a ceasefire with the United States at this point in time, and with Israel?
I don't see any room for diplomacy anymore, because Donald Trump has been deceiving others and not keeping with his promises. And we experienced it in 2 times of negotiations, that while we were engaged in negotiation, they struck us.
How does all of this end then? If you say right now there's no room for negotiation, President Trump says he wants complete surrender, what does that lead to?
There's no room unless the economic pressure would be built up to the extent that other countries would intervene to guarantee this termination of aggression of Americans and Israelis against Iran.
And here's what Marco Rubio had to say. And you'll note that there's, as Jimmy Rushton explains, there's no mention of removing the regime, no mention of destroying the Iranian nuclear program, no mention of destroying Iran's ability to project power via proxy forces. And, the regime's war aims just constantly change. You can listen to it for yourself.
The goals of this mission are clear, and it's important to continue to remind the American people why it is that the greatest military in the history of the world is engaged in this operation. It is to destroy the ability of this regime to launch missiles, both by destroying their missiles and their launchers, destroy the factories that make these missiles, and destroy their navy.
That's the current update we have now. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. As always, hit subscribe and let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thank you for watching. Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. There are recaps from Ron Filikowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MidasPlus.com.
It happened early Saturday morning. One of the first strikes of the U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran hit a girls' school in Manab in southern Iran. The death toll is now at least 175, most of them primary school girls. On Tuesday, thousands of people filled the streets of Manab for a mass funeral. The girls' ages range from 7 to 12. Iran's school week runs from Saturday to Thursday. When the missile hit the school on Saturday morning, the girls were in their morning session. After the strike, parents searched for their children among the dead.
This is her math book. Mohana Sari, first grade.
How's it going? Let me see here. What's their name?
Rayshawn.
Okay, let me see here. We got 8 items. Is that right? Let's see. Okay. Not used to these Go Puff ones. But you know what you got? You get ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it over here. Yeah, it's over here then. Like, you don't know what you got, then how'd you get it? Thanks. 4929. God bless you. Thanks.
Iranian school. She joins us now in studio. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Nilu. Explain exactly what you understand took place. And it's really hard right now with the internet almost totally turned off in Iran.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, we're not necessarily able to get in touch with eyewitnesses or, friends and families of the young girls who were killed, but we were able to verify the video. So there was one video that I saw probably around 6:30 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday, and I was able to verify that and know that the video that we saw that showed at least, half of the structure was hit, 2 stories were torn down. The scene was really graphic. I saw things like a small child's hand in the rubble, bloodstained backpacks, homework scattered everywhere. And so when I see scenes like that, it's important to verify and know that it's from the current moment. So I was able to do that. And then once I found the locations of the school itself, just being able to map, some of the features we saw in the video with satellite imagery, I wanted to understand what was around there. Manab is a small town in the southern Hormozgan province. I was trying to understand why the school was struck. What I saw and what many others online saw as well is that it was close to an IRGC Navy barracks.
And explain what the IRGC is.
The IRGC is the Revolutionary Guard. So there was an IRGC, Navy barracks around there. And I wanted to, understand, is this an issue of wrong targeting? When I looked at satellite imagery, it was clear that for years ago, it used to be part of, it looked like it was very close to the base, part of the base. As far back as 2016, it was completely walled off. There was a separation between that school and the IRGC Navy barracks. And as well, the walls of the school were painted with these bright murals. So obviously, if I can see as an open source investigator that as far back as, 8 years ago, these brightly colored walls are visible, I know that this is not part of an IRGC base, and so should anybody that's adding this to a target list.
You've reported that the pro-Pahlavi monarchy accounts have been spreading a narrative that's this was a failed IRGC rocket, and explain what these forces are.
Yes, so right now there's, I think people are trying to co-opt a narrative or, put forth what's happening that feels convenient to the story that they want to push and the goals that they have. And right now it seems that any reporting on civilian casualties becomes a flashpoint. And there was one quite prominent user on X that tweeted out and said that actually the Iranian state already took responsibility for the strike. So we started to look at that claim. The channel that they put forward was not an Iranian state official channel. It was a Telegram channel that's a pro-monarchy channel. So you can understand, okay, where this type of misinformation is starting to spread.
Talk about the response on the ground, this mass funeral that took place in Manab, and how the media is covering this around the world.
Yeah, I mean, many journalists were quite horrified to see an attack like this, right? The death toll is up to 175 people, many of them young schoolgirls. And right now, I think people are trying to verify imagery of this. So there were some claims saying, oh, this aerial imagery showing, the small graves that were dug comes from, a different image in Pakistan. Well, there's been a lot of great reporting, some by BBC, some by the New York Times, that have verified this aerial imagery and said that, no, indeed, this is of the current moment. This is for these funerals as well. So this is an incident that many of us are looking at because it absolutely demands accountability.
And what has the U.S. and Iran said?
The U.S. said that it was looking into this incident, and Iran has said this was on the fault of Israel. This is what happens in an air campaign, and we're still trying to figure that out. So as it stands, we need more information. Either we need remnants of the weapons that was used from the scene. We haven't been able to obtain that. Or another visual clue that would be helpful is to see the moment of impact. So if we saw the missile hit, we could maybe look at the
Things are not looking good for Ellen, I'll tell you that. Epstein's last voicemail exposed Ellen DeGeneres, whatever her name is.
These emails included coded phrases and descriptions involving minors. She openly said that the way these words were used was not normal, and that jerky, in particular, didn't sound like food at all when read in context. A forensic expert would later come out to say that these were likely euphemisms for something much worse.
I'll give you another example here. Epstein sends a message to someone. She looks pregnant, reacting to a photo.
Okay.
And the client replies back to Epstein, "You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement? Yeah, that's the pizza." I cannot be clearer than this, that this is a code word. It makes no sense in that context whatsoever. And this, on top of the example I gave you earlier, when his virologist gave him the medicine for having an erection, erectile dysfunction, I assume, or it could be even Viagra, and then told him to wash his hands, go have pizza and grape soda. Has been mentioned time and time, having adult men, successful men that are very health oriented, constantly talk about pizza with grape soda, which I've never heard before.
Yeah, I've never heard of pizza and grape soda before this. I don't know if that specific comment.
This is the thing, like, if you look at all the black boxes, the original files, we're never going to see them. We've got the censored version, really. They've gone through, they've cut faces out, they've cut names out. They're still trying to protect some people.
Nation was part of the whole Pizzagate thing, but it's definitely mentioned a lot because I saw that phrase, so I looked it up and was like, is this actually in there multiple times?
If it doesn't work, I'll refund you $9,000 because you only need to spray it once and for 8 months.
Now I realize that this video here may be a complete and total curveball, but I have been thinking ahead to 2028. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I'm not trying to look past the midterms. If we have a free and fair election, I truly do believe you're going to see a blue tsunami. But anyone out there that thinks politics is or can be played the way it was once played, I'm sorry, you're just being naive. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, has completely changed and reshaped American politics. He came down that escalator. He got elected. 2017, he takes office. If he actually does leave, and yeah, we have to say that. We have to throw the if in there because he loves to, as Micah says, jest about it. You don't joke about being a dictator. We'll always take it seriously. But if Donald Trump ends up leaving in 2028, he'll technically get a third term because whoever the president is, Republican or Democrat, all we'll be talking about is Donald Trump. We're going to be talking about him for the rest of our lives, unfortunately. And FDR had 12 years in American politics. You look at, and he was headed for 16. Donald Trump has had that too. Think about the impact that FDR had on American politics, and then think about the impact that Donald Trump has had unraveling all of that progress. So yes, I'm looking ahead because politics can't be played the way that they used to. To the Democratic Party, I would say this: if you think for 1 second that you could just on the ropes and wait till 2028 and then start talking about it and then march out a couple of candidates and then let's go to Iowa. Let's see what's happening over in Iowa. And oh, well, okay, Iowa spoke. Let's see what New Hampshire's doing these days. Let's go down to South Carolina. Those days are over. Whoever the Democratic nominee is or whoever's going to be our horse needs to be saddled up now and needs to be going around the country. Donald Trump has never stopped campaigning since he came down the escalator. He campaigned the entire time he was president the first time. He campaigned and overshadowed Joe Biden every step of the way. He's campaigning now. He won't stop. We can't sit over here and do that and rest on our laurels and just hope to pull it off in 2028. We have to look ahead to it. And so I know I got a little long-winded in this intro
don't care nothing
coming in.
about this job because I don't
But I've
vote.
been looking ahead to 2028, and I've been saying to myself, well, who could get the Republican nomination for the Republican Party? Who could be the Republican nominee?
Erica Kirk.
If you look at our side, it's pretty obvious it's Gavin Newsom.
Really
I'm just going to
doesn't
say
matter
it.
to me
That's
because
pretty.
I don't vote. I don't do that. I don't do that. That is a waste of my luge. So, energy from emotions is called luge. And you feed spirits with your emotions. So, it's not worth the luge. I'm not putting out that luge for those kind of spirits to be hanging around eating off me. Shandy, right chair on the left. There's a right chair. What does it say? It says apartment B right here. Yeah. I have to weigh enough. Back up a little bit. I'll be right back. El Dios is willing. Lo siento. Por favor. So what I was saying was the name of the substance that feeds emotions is called luge. Luge. Like water. Like the deluge. So it's spiritual water. So Jesus said, if you drink from my water, you will never thirst again. If you drink from his luge, you will never thirst again. But if you drink from their luge, which basically when you put out the emotion, you're putting out the luge. When you put out luge, you are drinking from the luge. So, what are you putting out? You put out the Spirit of Jesus. You put out the Spirit.
We got a bad review. This is not the first time we've gotten this. And listen, we've heard you guys. It's about our prices. And we could have ignored them, but that's not who we are.
Well, folks, things appear to not be going very well in MAGA land because now Kristi Noem is attacking Donald Trump after he fired her. I think Noem is finally realizing that if you have loyalty to Donald Trump, that is always a one-way street. He will never have your back. He will only keep you around as long as you are useful to him. And then after that, you are essentially worthless in Donald Trump's eyes. That is the MAGA cycle with Trump. I don't know how more of these people haven't realized this, but it happens every single time. And so now Kristi Noem is not only speaking out publicly, but she's also leaking information to different journalists. So I want to get into this story with you, talk about what Kristi Noem is saying. Before I do any of that, please make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story, and let's get into it. So first of all, before we hear from Kristi Noem and what she and her team are leaking to the press about her firing, let's just go back to yesterday, the day she was fired, and Fox News reported 3 main reasons why Kristi Noem was removed from her position. And it's also clear that somebody from inside the White House leaked this information to them and kind of threw her under the bus publicly as well. So let's hear what Fox News said were the top 3 reasons why Kristi Noem was removed.
I think the soundbite we were looking for the testimony that apparently really upset the president, where Noem said, yes, we went through the legal process and did it correctly when asked if the president authorized and approved that $200 million in spending. He did not. He said that he was not aware of this campaign, certainly did not authorize it. And then there were also these rumors of an affair with Corey Lewandowski, a special government employee who was serving as an advisor. He is also married. And reports floating the last several weeks that Noem had sought to appoint Lewandowski as her chief of staff, but the president blocked that decision amid these rumors of an affair. So the combination of those factors
This video is a re-upload from my other channel, Seconds of Horror, because I plan to do a much deeper dive into this segment on this channel. But I did also go ahead and add extra content to this video. This is weird. This is really weird. Now, I wasn't planning on posting today, but I have to talk about this. I came across this news article from WSMV4 News, which was posted a few days ago, I believe on the 22nd, giving us an update on an incident that happened 5 years ago, this incident involving this individual, Anthony Warner, who supposedly believes in a lot of quote-unquote conspiracy theories, to the point that he caused this massive explosion in Nashville, also taking himself out in the process. But before we go any further, take a look at this update that just came out of nowhere.
All right, take a look at this photo. It's among the new images that we have obtained of the man who set off a suicide bomb in downtown Nashville 5 years ago. His name was Anthony Warner. Now, we've now obtained this photograph along with several others showing his bizarre behavior long before the bombing. Now, this photo was given to me by a former friend, and it was taken while they were out camping. Now, you can see this device that he's holding in his hand. Warner made this thing. You can see it's kind of piecemeal together. He told his friends that through the lens on this device, he could see lizard people in the woods. It's among the bizarre theories that he believed in. You can read our full investigation into Warner and everything we've now uncovered about him in the comments. And that's your Family Finds Out.
So yeah, what has come out after all this time is that he had a special device that allowed him to see reptoids, reptilians in the woods. And then after he told his friends this, not too long after, this is when the explosion would occur. This is an interview with one of his friends.
First, I sat down with a former friend of the bomber who was sharing troubling photos of what she witnessed and documented.
Quite
In so
understand
many
what
ways,
we're
the
talking
fear of what Anthony Warner would do on Christmas Day 2020 began in the woods of the Montgomeryville State Park the year before.
That whole trip is when I started questioning everything. I think it started my awakening of Tony Warner.
Pam Perry camped with Warner, who she called Tony. He dated her sister in high school and they'd reconnected after her sister's death. So when Warner invited her to the trails of the park to camp, she decided to go. She did not expect for Warner to take out materials, some of it seen at the base of this tree, and throw a small amount of it onto the fire pit.
The thing blew up.
And there was more troubling developments on those camping trips. Perry took a photo of the device Warner is carrying. You can see there's a kind of screen on it. And through that screen, Perry says Warner would rant about what do you remember what he would rant about?
Well, he was always talking about his reptilians, but he's talking about this woman.
And he thought she was a
That was
reptile?
her, and he's obsessed with her. In fact, these reptilian people live in the parks.
Did you worry about that he was severely mentally ill and that you may have not been safe with him?
Well, I don't know that I actually thought that he was mentally ill. I thought he was just crazy, insane. And I was weak. I was weak, and he took
Mentally ill,
advantage
crazy,
of that.
insane, same thing.
And this is just the beginning of our investigation. For the first time, I sit down with the lead investigator on this case for the FBI. Tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, you're going to hear what she uncovered about the reasons that Warner specifically chose 2nd Avenue and why he had convinced himself that he needed to set off that massive explosion.
Then they get into it, and again, they've never spoken about this before. The reason why he caused this explosion and wanted to take himself out was to break a reincarnation loop that he was in.
He had lots of writings.
Those writings matched what Warner did with that strange device in the woods.
That device that could see certain entities.
We discovered a lot of written works by him involving reptilians and lizard people and, deep secret underground bases.
And there was more. It turns out there's a reason he chose to life with an explosion.
Based on the totality of his writings and things, is he talked a lot about breaking the
There is a global satanic religion that does operate aspects of cults around the world. Whether you think that Hillary Clinton is literally in it or not is a whole different level of conspiracy. But
a global satanic religion?
Of course she
yeah.
is.
Have you gone down the satanic ritual abuse rabbit hole? It is so dark. So what I'm referring to specifically are survivors giving survivor testimony on video, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Not one guy came forward and said this. There are whole support networks for these people. There are psychologists that specialize in satanic SRA victims, satanic ritual abuse, and because you have to treat them in a whole different way than a regular abuse victim, because the level of depravity and disgusting, literal torture of children, literal. Your episode is so screwed now, but. There's one in particular that this guy was on the Alondra Markman podcast, and I wish I could remember his name, and we don't even want to pull it up because it's so dark. And everyone should, watch it for themselves and judge it for themselves in terms of whether you think he's telling the truth or not. But personally, it's you can look into his life, and this guy, his whole life is based around him recovering from this story.
Let me know if everything is okay.
And it looks pretty looks far more likely that he's telling mostly the truth than entirely lies to me. And what he alleges in this interview,
Let me know if everything is okay.
a little less, on Alondra Markman's podcast, is that he was born into a satanic family, of which there are many around the world, and that he was groomed from an early age to essentially be a Jeffrey Epstein type of character in a global satanic cult that is not all satanic, but the Satanists are a part of this sort of bigger network of crime and everything. And he alleges that he was...
I'm curious, how do they define themselves, Satanists? What is the definition of a Satanist to them?
My understanding is that some of them, based on what he said, is that some of them are literally worshiping Satan, and some of them are practicing these things in this cult format and structure. And when I tell you what he's alleging, you'll realize that are so like in the same way that like some Jews are really practicing Jewish people, and some Jewish people are. And I don't mean to say, I'm not trying to make that connection. I'm just saying that we were just talking about Jews. Some people are more practicing of a religion than others, but you might still go to church, and you might still, you might identify as Christian, but you're not as Christian as the next guy. But he alleges was groomed from an early age, tortured every day as a child, was like abused every day as a child, to be groomed to have multiple personalities. And then by the time he was like a preteen, he was engaging in child death matches where he would be put in a cage and he would fight to the death with another child in like downtown New York in underground like parties that rich people and businessmen would attend. And then that and it sounds so insane, but when you watch it, it's like hard, and it's not like he's the only one that has claimed this. He's just one that put it all in a particularly, like, lots of people have lots of claims about this kind of shit. And he also claims that then after that, he was being groomed to be an actor, and he froze up in his acting interview, and so he got shifted from the acting pathway, because these guys, like, there's a money in this community, allegedly, as in it's tied into all of the global trafficking networks, because how do you think the global trafficking sort of gets all the handlers and gets all of the sort of like operatives that run it, is you need people that were abused in order to run these things, because you need to be that kind of broken, like you need to be groomed to be able to run this without breaking it.
Yeah, is this all like tied into like the Franklin scandal?
Similar, yeah. So he claims he met Jeffrey Epstein on 2 occasions. He claims that he was being groomed to essentially be a handler similar to Jeffrey Epstein. And he had a really lucid description that Jeffrey Epstein was an insanely good code switcher, is what made Jeffrey unique, that he could be completely normal businessman, like banker guy right now, and then like literally turn the other way and be an absolute depraved, abusive monster, and then like right back on like the drop of a pin. And that's what made him so unique in this guy's perspective. And he kind of like had his programming, his like trauma did not work correctly, and so rather than going that route, he became a breeder. And he alleges he was sent to a compound in Mexico where